So looking at who is in our program this time during the summer virtual, we have a very wide age range, but we also have people who are interested in club teams, playing on their school teams, maybe thinking about different types of opportunities to play competitively. And so this would be a very interesting discussion that we'll have here. So I'm going to hand it over to Melanie, and Melanie is going to be our interviewer today. And then we have 4 special guests that she is going to help introduce to us. Okay. So Melanie, I'm going to stop share and hand it over to you. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, my name is Melanie. I'm an incoming sophomore at Westmore High School. I played at Salvation Army volleyball for 6 years, and I'm your interviewer. Today, our guests are Tanya Wong, the Huddlestons, and Ray Liu. And the topic is parent involvement and club versus school teams. And this can include how parents view their children playing sports, how to choose the right kind of sports environment and competition, and the family experience. And the reason why we asked them to be on the panel is because they all have played sports themselves and now have children who play competitive volleyball at some level. And now I would like each panelist to introduce their name, their experience with sports, their involvement with their children's sports activities, and their connection with Salvation Army volleyball. And we'll start with Tanya.
Tanya, you have to unmute.
Keep doing that. Hi, my name is Tanya. I guess, well, I started playing softball was my first sport, and I started playing when I was in 5th grade, and I played that through, I guess, high school, where I also picked up volleyball in high school. But I never played club because I didn't even know that was a thing. So I just played for school only. And then now I have my kid, or I had my kid in 2005, and we started at Salvation Army when she was in 1st grade, actually because of Katie DeLaus. They introduced us, and yeah, and that was really to have Ellie, you know, be engaged in some disciplined sports and have fun with her friends and gain some confidence. And what were the other questions? Sorry. That's a lot.
Your involvement with your children's sports activity and your connection to Salvation Army.
Yeah, so Salvation Army, I did help with the volunteer coaching when Ellie was there in 1st grade. And but I think I only did it for a few years, right? And then it just got really busy because Ellie started playing club, and that was a lot of commitment there. And, but I do I don't think I really missed any of Ellie's practices. So I always sat there and I watched, and then I would give her some feedback, you know, because I feel like I would probably be the most honest, even if it was negative. But I feel like there she, you know, sometimes she didn't take it well, but, you know, but I think she learned a lot because she knew that what I was saying was probably real, really the truth. And it did help her improve, because then she knew exactly where she needed to improve and, you know, just help, you know, build her confidence more, because I was telling her what she really needed to work on. And I would practice with her as well. So, you know, I'm very involved with her sports, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you, Tanya. And the Huddlestons.
Yeah, well, Bob can't make it today, but Sydney's here to help me. And I just want to say that we've been with Salvation Army for probably 6 years. And Salvation Army has taught both my girls a lot of just everything, not just good volleyball, but how to be a good moral person. So they have a great foundation as far as being people and volleyball players.
Involvement.
Oh, my involvement? I am a fan. I get to watch all the kids play and grow. And I get to see when they start out and then when they end the program. And it's good to see them progress week after week. And you?
Well, I am the sister of a current club volleyball player, so I'm always at tournaments with her, and I do help coach some of her club practices. So that's been like pretty fun to like stay involved with like the whole club scene and like high school volleyball and stuff. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. And Ray.
Hello, my name is Ray, and I played a lot of sports growing up, you know, including baseball, football, basketball, volleyball, softball. So growing up, you know, sports is, you know, something that I had spent a lot of time with and enjoyed a lot. And I guess my first involvement with my child playing sports was trying to get her to do any kind of sports. And eventually, I guess her friends wanted to play volleyball at Salvation Army, which was perfect because all my friends are there running the program. So I've been helping out with the Salvation Army program for a couple of years now, since I think Kaylee was at the 6th grade, so 5-6 years ago. And some of my other kids are starting to join that program too. And I also helped coach my daughter's CYO team when she first started, when she was a 6th grader. That seems, you know, to be so long ago. It's a lifetime ago. Oh, and my connection with Salvation Army volleyball is, you know, I used to play at the Chinatown Core with Mike and with Peter. I thought that was a really good time for me because, you know, I got to hang out in a safe place with, you know, available gym and hang out with friends and goofing off, you know, especially during middle and high school days.
Okay, thank you, panelists. I'm going to start with our first question. What are some pros and cons of being on a club team? Huddlestons, could you please start?
I don't think there are any cons about being on a school or club team. I think it would benefit any child to be on either one of those teams. And you know, it just gives them so much confidence. And some parents might say, oh, and you know, it would interfere with their studies, but really you can see your child learn how to manage their time better. And I think it's a great situation for your child, and you get to see them grow, manage their own time, fit the sport into their lives as well.
Yeah, I think it really helps because it is a pretty big time commitment. It does help you organize your schedule a bit better. When I was in high school, I actually didn't play club volleyball because I played a lot of other sports in high school. So like my schedule was very jam-packed. But if you are somebody who like is really passionate about playing volleyball and like volleyball only, I would say you can play school, then you can play club. It is going to take up a lot of time. So if that's something that you really like, you can definitely like make it a year-round thing. And like you see a lot of progress because you're going to keep playing pretty much the whole time. I would say the only con is that there are people who do like get burnt out, but then again, like that just varies from like person to person. So if you're someone that really likes it, then definitely I would say do it. That'd be like the best option.
Okay, and Ray, could you please go next?
Yeah, I think the pros are, you know, it's a good learning experience playing in either a school or a club. And I think a big thing is the kids learning how to be responsible, because they have to wake up early, they have to help ref, they have to help score. They have to go to their practices, every day. Sometimes, like for schools, it's up to like 5 days a week, and for club is like 2 to 3, maybe 4 times a week, and you have to manage all that. Like the Huddleston said, said you have to manage your schoolwork, your time with doing homework, and I think maybe one of the cons is. Well, maybe there's a couple of cons because sometimes you have to miss school when you're away in tournaments, and then you have to travel, and it's a really, playing club especially, it's a cost thing. And then, being away from family sometimes because, I have 4 kids, so my wife would have to stay with my other kids while I'm traveling with my daughter to tournaments and stuff.
And Tanya.
In addition, I mean, it's pretty much what Esther and Ray had said, but like I've noticed from Ellie, I've seen her, she's the only child, so I've seen her become more independent, and, she's more disciplined, and she, is good with her time management, and it's, she's very driven and motivated to do well in volleyball, which I feel like it carried over in her academics as well. And I just feel like it's just preparing her for like when she's, for the future when she goes into the workforce, working with others in a team, all those things, they'll help them in later in life, really. The cons I would say is the biggest con is you sacrifice a lot of family time because, because it does require like a lot of practices and a lot of the tournaments. And I have to say, I think I've missed almost every Chinese New Year dinner since she started playing club, and for my family, that's like a huge gather, like a pretty special, dinner. And we've missed a lot of just school as well, like Ray said. And sometimes it depends on your teacher, sometimes they won't let you make up a test, and that could really impact your grade at school as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And the next question, if you had to choose one or the other, which type of team would you prefer, school or club, and why? And Ray, could you please start?
Okay, the selfish me would pick school because it's basically done within like 2 months, and the cost is really low. It's cheap, but the parenting in me would rather have them play in club because it's a very good life experience. Being able to travel your kids and being around with them and seeing them grow, from not knowing how to play at all to, learning how to be competitive and things like that. It's that's what a parent would want for their kids, to see progress in their kids' lives. And so, but the thing with club would, it's like Tanya said, it takes a lot of time away from you. So it's, you're constantly traveling almost every other weekend, and there's a lot of driving. And then if you happen to play like in a more competitive league, you would have to even travel out of state.
Okay, thank you. Tanya, could you please go next?
I would probably have to say club, just because I really, really enjoy, going to those tournaments, even though it's like really early. I have to wake up earlier, but it's just like I don't know, the feeling of being at one of those like national qualifiers where there's like thousands of people going there, to do what they love, and just watching all the talent out there. I really enjoy that. And, at the same time, you get to travel You know, I mean, you might not be able to enjoy it like you normally would when you actually call it a vacation, but there is still some downtime, and you get to see your kids. You know, the kids can, you know, like I guess it's like a vacation together with their friends. You know, whereas instead of going on your own, it's just like usually family. You know, so I do like club better if I had to choose.
Okay. And the Huddlestons.
Well, you know, they're both panelists are right, and a club is definitely very exciting, and it takes you to places that you never would have gone if there wasn't a tournament there. But you get to see these places when you're traveling, and it opens your eyes, it opens your kids' eyes to other things. But you know, we also like the school competition too, because they have the school fans and they're playing for their school, so they have the sense of responsibility to win for their school. And so I mean, I have to say that both of them are very important, but I think if I had to choose one over the other, I think I would choose club, because the kids are playing amongst people that are like-minded, whereas with school you might get players that have different attitudes, different ages, and different things happening in their lives. Whereas with club, I think they're all more focused in the same way.
Yeah, I just adding on to that, I think that both school and club are two very good opportunities for players. They're both very different, just being that school is kind of more of a place where it is like a bunch of different people. Like you might all be on different skill levels, you might be on the same skill level. It kind of varies year by year. It's also different from club in the way that you don't necessarily get to pick the coach that you play under or have as much freedom that way as if you were going to a club, because usually like the process of like trying out for club is like evaluating like potentially who could be on your team, like what kind of coach you want to play for, like what that practice schedule looks like. But with school, you're kind of like locked into whatever the school can provide for you and like whatever the school coach can do. Aside from like varying playing levels, club also just being longer in length, I would say is usually better for players, just because there's only so much skill development that can happen between like the span of 2 or 3 months in high school, and like most of that time is spent like going to and from games and having like 2 or 3 practice days a week, whereas you have a little bit more freedom with like club or like doing clinics in the way that you can like practice more, you can add like more days, and you just have like access to more resources. And like going to tournaments, you play all day long, whereas in high school you might play like 2, maybe 3 games a week if you're lucky. So yeah, I personally would say club, but I don't think that like you could pit like the two against each other, because they both provide like really great opportunities. So, yeah.
Hey, thank you. And for the last question, how do you choose which club to join, and what do the different club levels mean? Referring to Power League versus Premier. And Tanya, would you please?
Well, when Ellie was younger, it was mostly, you know, she wanted to play on the same team as her friends. And as she got older, it was more like who was the coach. That was really important, because if she wanted to learn and improve, you know, she wanted to be with a coach who she felt like could teach her, you know, more, and, you know, and as well as the players. And I felt like, you know, we were at Tremors for, you know, when Ellie was younger, and, you know, she made a lot of friends there, and it was really hard to leave when we chose another club. And I just felt like, but, you know, us leaving, I felt like, you know, she grew up a little bit, because now she's more serious, and, you know, she knew what she wanted, and it wasn't just about being with your friends. And the difference between Power League versus Premier League, I would say the level of competitiveness would be that, and the commitment as well. I guess if you were on the Power team, you know, typically you would also travel less. I mean, like travel more, and you would be more committed, and It's just the intensity, the team is, much stronger. And on the Premier, league is, it's, less intense, and it's for people who want to have time to do other things as well and not just be so focused on just volleyball, but still want to play. And those are just mostly like local tournaments that they would, participate in.
Okay, thank you. And can the Huddlestons please go next?
Well, for choosing a club, I mean, for us, we were new parents because Kristen only started playing club 2 years ago. So I think for first timers, you just have to go to as many open gyms at different clubs that you can and get a feel for the environment, the coaches, the players that go there. And then that you kind of get the vibe for what your child is going to like. Do they feel comfortable there? Are they going to like the players that they might potentially be matched up with? And I think, when you do choose a club, I don't think you can go off of the cost. The costs vary, and sometimes some clubs are upfront with their costs and some of them are not. They might have hidden fees for travel and stuff. But really it's where your child is going to have the best experience, because you're going to be doing this for 4 or 5 months. You want to make sure that your child is playing with people that they like, and and it's a parental thing too. You have to get along with the parents of the children. It's a huge involvement for the whole family.
Yeah, I think just like in like another way club is different from school is that like you can get kind of like an inside scoop on like what the team is going to look like by like going to open gyms, and you have a little bit more power in the decision that way. Personally, you also, well, like in our situation for Kristen, it helped that her first year of club, the coach that she went with was like an excellent hitter, like when she was in college. So she had a lot of knowledge about that. So she really helped like develop like my sister's skills in that way. So you kind of have like more freedom about like choosing where you want to go, as well as like what kind of team you want to play for, because there are like a lot of different kinds. Like you have power league, you have like high performance teams, like you have like any kinds you can really think of. They do like a bunch of different combinations of things. So for my sister's team last year, they played as like a high performance team. They only played in like tournaments and stuff. And they were a 16s team, but they would enter in like 17s and 18s competitions and like do really well there. And like getting that like higher level of experience and like getting to play against other teams that might have been like more advanced is like something that she really wanted for her club season. So it was like that kind of was like a factor in the decision. So you can really take like a look at things from like a bigger perspective, and like once you have experience in club, you can like figure out what you want in a team.
Thank you. And lastly, Ray.
Okay, so initially when we first started, it's Katie's first year playing volleyball, and the location was a big decision for us because we, did Salvation Army at Holy Trinity, and then the club that plays and practices there is Tremors, and that's what we tried out for. And after a few years of that, now it's more important of looking for maybe a team that has a better reputation with better coaching, because you can't just go to like the easiest to get to location or whatever. And now it's more of finding the right coach, how the reputation of, because you meet a lot of parents when you're doing this tournaments and stuff, and you get to meet them, speak with them, and ask them about their club and their experience. So now the consideration is like, and also the consideration of your kid, right? Because they might have friends that they want to play with instead of joining a team or if they want to be competitive, then you want to look for a team that's more competitive. So, you know, it's just depending, I guess, what your goals for your kid is. Because I wanted her to have fun, but then later on she wanted to be more competitive and she wants to, you know, join a better team or what have you. And yeah, the difference with those Premier League and Power League is just your commitment, because I think the Premier League is more easygoing and tournaments are just localized in the Bay Area, and traveling time won't be as far as like the Power League, where sometimes you're, you know, assigned to a location that's 4 hours away. So on any given weekend, you'll be driving 4 hours and then renting a hotel and staying there. Yeah, so.
Thank you. And thank you, panelists, for being our guests. And we appreciate the idea and the insight you share.
Thank you.
Great job. Great job, everyone. We have a little bit of time for Q&A. And so, Melanie, I'm going to ask you if you could monitor chat, just in case anybody wants to put in a question in chat, and then please chime in. And then if anybody wants to unmute themselves, just remember the panel portion is being recorded. So you may unmute yourself and ask a question if you like. Anybody want to start? And if not, then I'll start with a question. Anybody want to ask the panelists anything? Okay, I'll start. Oh, someone? No? Okay, I'll start. In terms of club, there's this impression that club can be very expensive financially. If a person wants to play club, are there affordable ways to be involved in club volleyball? And if so, how?
Oh, I guess I can answer. The first club that we joined was Tremors, and they have a really decent lower price, and they also have things like fundraising to help out with the cost. So you would you know, sell raffle tickets or have a bake sale and stuff like that. And I don't know, maybe some clubs might even offer scholarships, but those are in a hush hush.
So Ellie also played for Tremors for a few years, and I would say it was the tuition was a lot lower, but it also didn't include like uniform and the gear. It didn't include the coach's travel and stipend, which is you know, like you can fundraise, like what Ray said, you can fundraise for that through various ways. You know, like there's been like I've held 2 painting fundraisers there when I was there, and a food, some kind of like food fundraiser as well. And we did a car wash one year. And, you know, it just depends, you know, like one of the fundraisers, like the painting one, we raised like $2,000 in profit. And that helps pay for the entry for the tournament, because you know, if you enter an additional tournament, it's $900 or $950 per team, and that would cover that and then pay for maybe the coach's airfare and hotel. But if you go to another club, which is the club that Ellie's at right now, it's just a flat rate tuition. It's a lot more, like more than double the price, but it includes the uniform, and you don't have to worry about the coaches because the club covers that. And then I do know there are other clubs that offer scholarship. They have like let's just say in Redwood City, Encore has like the Limo Foundation, where you can apply through an application, and then they'll, you know, let you know if you qualified for their financial aid. And you would just, the way that you would, I guess, help in, you know, like paying them back is like you would assist their, like you would help coach their training camps on the weekends or something like that in the summer or during the season. Yeah.
It also like really does kind of like depend what team you play for, because there are a lot of teams like that will do a lot of traveling and like go to like major qualifiers or like AUs in Florida like every year. So it kind of just depends, like if you're looking to do like that kind of traveling, it will be a lot more expensive, or there are like smaller clubs have like area teams where you play like only in like major tournaments like in the area, so it is a lot cheaper that way.
So I actually, kept track of how much we spent in one season. And I know when we were at Tremors, I want to say we spent almost $11,000 for one season. And that includes like all the traveling, the hotels, the food when you're out there, the, transportation as well, and the tuition and just, all of it. And so it does get pretty, it's expensive.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I have one. So knowing what you know now, what would you say to parents that are now where their kids are just starting to find volleyball as their favorite thing to do? What would be something you would, wish you had known back then when you first got started? And then also to sort of ride on that as well a little bit, where there, I've known there are parents that have always thought that extracurricular activities are great for fun, but probably shouldn't take up more time than they're necessary. And so, what would you say to those parents as well? So, yeah.
Well, I think that it's a learning experience as well, playing sports. So it's equally important as the school curricular activities, right?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely like just as important, because for me, when I was in high school, like I didn't play club volleyball all throughout high school, but then I ended up playing volleyball in college, and I still do. And one thing that I wish that I had like more access to, or like taken a bit more seriously, was like going out and getting more like game-like situations, kind of like playing time, by like possibly like playing club or just like finding more opportunities that way. Because like getting more experience in something is like never going to be a bad thing, especially if it's like something you're passionate about.
Well, I think the best thing that we did was that the girls did play at Salvation Army for as many years as they did, so they had a really good foundation before moving on to club, because there were years where it probably wouldn't have been worthwhile for them to do a club, when they couldn't even do an underhand serve. So Salvation Army really set the foundation for them, and then they went into club with some confidence.
I guess we did that backwards, because instead of having my daughter go through the process of playing like an open gyms and all this stuff, we just jumped straight in and tried out for a team, and not expecting to make the team, but just to let her, my child know how to be competitive and what's the skill level of the other players and what level you need to be at. But unfortunately, she made the team that year. And so with that, just because she's a new player, she didn't have any skills, a lot of the competitive teams will only play certain players. So on our first year, my daughter sat on the bench a lot, and we went on these like 3-day tournaments where she maybe got to play 10 minutes. So I think if I had to go back and redo it, I would definitely make her do the lower type activities first instead of jumping straight in. But I do encourage that you have your child do that, because I think we mentioned earlier, as a really good life experience for them. You learn so much of what they could apply, later in life.
I have a question. It's like, okay, the thing I don't like, this is a statement. The thing I don't like about club is like say you're good, like at DS, like that's all you do. Do they, can you ask them, oh, can you help my daughter be an all-around player? Instead of, oh, that's all they do the whole time is pass them off. You know what I'm saying? It's like I want her to be able to hit and set and do everything, right? I don't, because then she comes out, she's not gonna play volleyball forever, and I want her to go and have fun, but she won't be able to do everything. You know what I'm saying? So, can you ask the coaches, like, can you make them a well-rounded player?
You know, I guess unfortunately with club, you know, when you are trying out for a club, you have to select what position you're trying out for. So typically, you know, the coaches are going to be choosing your, you know, or selecting your, you know, child based on the position that, you know, that you said you were trying out for. And so, I mean, unlike at Tremors, actually, I would say it's a little bit different because some of the coaches there kind of like put your daughter in a position where they feel they're, you know, better at, and you don't really have a choice. But if your daughter, you know, knows what she wants to do, it's, I guess, you know, it's better to be specific with one position, I guess, and actually focus on that if, you know, she's more serious about it in the long run. Yeah.
For this past summer, Kristen has been doing like clinics and stuff. So I've started working as an assistant coach for her team. And what I really like about working with the head coach is that he likes to incorporate drills that like utilize like all skills and involve all players in them. So everyone kind of like stays a little bit refreshed on like every skill. And even if someone's like a DS or something and they like hit the ball over the net, he'll still like give them like a tip or something or how they could have been better. And like with club, you just have to like find a coach, I guess, that will like develop players all around, or like has like kind of that mentality about like maintaining everybody's skills. Because even on like our team now, they still like play their separate positions. Like when we scrimmage, like everyone who's a DS will go to one spot, everyone who's a middle goes to one spot. But it, like there is an aspect of the game that like as you get older, I feel like coaches do try to like incorporate all aspects because everyone like will eventually use every part of it. So it just kind of depends on who it is.
Yeah, I think a lot of times it depends on the coaches, right? And for the other skills that you're not, you know, applying for, those are what clinics are for, I think, because, you know, when you're playing to compete, they want specialized positions. And if your daughter want to do that, but she's not as good as the other players, they probably won't let you play that position anyways.
So join SA's clinics.
Okay, thank you so much. Melanie, are there any other questions in chat, or are we ready to conclude the panel?
I don't see any more questions in the chat. I don't see any questions in the chat.
Okay, thank you so much. We want to honor folks' time. We're a few minutes over time, but that's okay. So let's first thank our panelists. Panelists, thank you so much for all of your sharing and your expertise. And Tanya, I must say it's very nice to see you. And we saw Ellie in the background. We haven't seen you in a little while. We see the other folks all the time, but it's nice to see you. Thank you so much. And thank you, Esther and Sydney, for, of course, what you're sharing with us as always. And of course, Ray, you're always part of our group and the long history with us. So thank you. And then let's also thank Melanie. Melanie, great job on being the interviewer. Okay, thank you so much for helping to prepare all that and being a wonderful host. So what we're going to do is I'm going to share my screen again, just so that we can